Good day, everyone. We are Group 8, a quality service management case study of Philippine Airlines. I am Josel Morales, and here is our introduction. Philippine Airline is the first commercial airline in Asia, the flag carrier of the Philippines, and a certified four-star airline, meaning the quality of service that they give was named superb and excellent. However, it did not exclude them from making mistakes. According to passenger Joanne C., Philippine Airlines is the worst airline she traveled to in her entire life, while passenger UM describing the behavior of ground crew was disappointing because they are not aware of the problem. In this study, we attempt to identify those failures and give recommendations that can develop a strong brand reputation. Next slide, please.
I am Dana Grazo Perez, and let me give you some info about the Philippine Airlines. So, the Philippine Airlines, or PAL, as mentioned earlier, is a Philippines flag carrier that offers flight and cargo services to both domestic and international destinations. It was founded on February 26, 1941, by Mr. Andres Soriano and other group of businessmen. So, PAL has greatly contributed to the promoting tourism and national pride, connecting the archipelago and boosting the economy. And mainly, PAL helped in satisfying the growing demand for air transport. So next slide, please. Here we have the company trust. We have here the PAL's mission, vision, and core values. But let's move on to the organizational chart. So next slide, please.
Hi, I am Carmina Medina. As you can see, here is the organizational chart. Now let's move on to the job description. Next slide, please. For the job description, Operations Manager George Cruz, he worked closely with other departments such as Finance, Marketing, and Human Resources to streamline processes and achieve organizational goals. They are responsible for strategic planning, budgeting, and forecasting, and must be able to make informed decisions based on data analysis and financial data. Next slide, please. Next is the three passenger service assistant, or the PSA. KCE Manalpo, Segi Claudine, and Ronald G. Velara Jr. PSA is a customer care worker who helps travelers at airports, rail stations, and bus stops. Their key responsibilities including checking passenger tickets, passports, and other documentations, issuing luggage labels, and verifying that the luggage follows airline standards, coordinate boarding and the planning, announce flight information, and accompany passengers with specific requirements, providing information about flight schedules, delays, and cancellation, as well as answering general questions and resolving customer complaints. They are also ensuring compliance with security standards and procedures, such as asking passenger security questions and monitoring for potential security concerns, as well as job outlook. Moving on to the next slide, please.
Now, here are the specific job specifications that you need in order to work as a manager or a passenger service assistant. So, for education, they should have a bachelor's degree or higher that is relevant to their field of work. And for experience, 1 to 3 years of work experience for entry-level jobs and 10 years or more for senior management positions is preferred. Now, for skills, it is the classic that you need to have strong communication skills, good leadership skills, technical skills, and some skills that are also needed is to be well versed in software tools and to be good in Microsoft, Adobe, and social media platforms. So let's move on to the next slide. So here we have the Philippines Airlines main office. Next slide po. And then we have here the interior of a aircraft. This is the business class cabin for the A350 and A321 Neo interiors. So next. And here are the Philippine Airlines cabin crew and the pilots. Next slide, please.
We have the three SOP, which is the check-in departures, check-in arrivals, and the boarding. First one is the check-in departure. All you need to do is the passenger and their baggage come to the system of the airport. Next is ticket checking, flight confirmation, baggage sorting manually, baggage loading to the plane, and after that, proceed to the immigration and wait for your boarding flight. Next slide, please. Next is check-in arrival. First, the passenger arriving at the airport, immigrations, and have the boarding pass or your documents ready. Next is get to the check-in luggage, get your luggage or baggage, and proceed towards to the arrival gate, and you can exit the airport. Next slide, please. Next is the boarding, checking of the tickets. First one is finding designated seat, putting bags, luggage in the deck. Next is wait for all the passengers to settle down. Listen to the captain speaking, introducing the flight attendants, and having the reminders. Unplug all the electronics and airplane mode all the devices. Checking if the passengers are all in the safety seatbelts. And in-flight demonstration. And lastly, takeoff.
I am Dana Grace Perez once again, and here we have the researcher's analysis for the standard operating procedure. So first on, we have the departure procedures. So from our observation, it seems that all of the standard operating procedure steps are followed. And most of the problems encountered here are the long queues. So next slide, please. Next, we have the arrival standard operating procedures. So in this standard operating procedures, from our observation, it seems that the procedures or the steps in the procedures are well accomplished or they are accomplished in time. So next slide, please. Next is the boarding procedures. So, like the other two standard operating procedures, this standard operating procedure is also accomplished in time. So let's move on. Next, next.
So here in the statement of the problem, we have customer's perspective. The airline canceled this flight before the due to flight. Lost luggage during the flight, and after 5 days with no luggage, the airline offered only 2,000 pesos for their mistake. Number three, delayed from the original time schedule. Next slide, please. And next, for the employee's perspective, long queue during check-in and baggage drop. Number two, according to Seguy Claudine, who is a passenger service assistant, the passenger complaint is long queue. This frustration may extend to the perceptions of the airline's efficiency and customer service quality. Number three, according to Valera Jr. Ronald, the passenger's complaint is long queue. Waiting for the extended periods can be highly stressful. And for the manager's perspective, long queues classified as minor complaint caused by the capacity of agents. Number two, mishandled baggage caused by human error. Number three, delayed flights are not controlled by the airline. And for the researcher's observation, number one, long queue are sometimes caused by passenger. Next, check-in counters are seen unoccupied. Number three, passenger service assistance behavior. Next slide, please. Here we have the customer's fishbone diagram. Firstly, we have damaged baggage. The researchers recommend the management to implement a robust baggage tagging systems with barcodes to track luggage in real time throughout the journey. This can minimize misplacement scenarios and can provide passengers with a sense of security and relief. Next, we have late departure time. The researchers recommend the airline formulate a team to lessen the stress of customers from canceled flights. Furthermore, the airline can also inform the passenger of the risk of purchasing seat sales or discounted seats. They are more likely the first one to be canceled, giving way to those who paid in full amount. And lastly, for the customer's fishbone, we have terrible service. The researchers recommend upgrading their facilities and offering more amenities such as comfortable seatings, free Wi-Fi, access to free refreshment, and free charging stations to make waiting periods more bearable.
So let's proceed to the employees fishbone diagram. The first one is their problem is long queue, and the second one is long queue dead. And as you can see here, employees find managing long queues stressful, impacting efficiency and customer satisfaction. Adequate staffing, is efficient processes, and customer understanding are crucial. Recommendation based on Shigeyo Shingo's practical concept, the researchers recommend the airline apply just in time. For example, if an aircraft has a seating capacity of 370 seats, then the airline should open more check-in counters to occupy all the passengers, limiting how many passengers airline can accommodate to prevent long lines and waiting time. Making use of the present materials to simplify the process can reduce the stress on employees while resolving the long waiting time.
For manager's fishbone diagram, first one is mishandled baggage. The researchers recommend that the managers encourage the passenger to report damaged luggage before check-in and offer solutions like repairs or secure wrapping. Next slide, please. Delayed flights. Managers' recommendation, the researchers recommend is, if possible, the airport can redirect flights to nearby airports to reduce congestion. For example, some flights may be redirected to Clark International Airport and a shuttle service can be provided from Pampanga to Manila. Next slide, please. Last one is long queue. Researchers recommend that the management analyze what are the peak travel times and allocate staff accordingly. Management can also consider additional training or seminar for faster processing and to enhance the skills and capabilities of agents. Next slide, please.
This is Ryan Lawrence Mendoza speaking. We gathered all of the information we can to help us create this fishbone. Based on our research, it's not just the management or the employees that always causes the problem. Sometimes it's the customer itself. Firstly, for the researchers' fishbone diagram, we have unoccupied counters. The researchers recommend that the airline to optimize the number of staff based on the flight schedule and the passenger volume. They should consider flexible staffing to address peak hours. In addition to that, they can also train their staff to handle multiple tasks at a time to increase efficiency, allowing them to fill in the unoccupied counters if needed. Next slide, please. Next, we have passengers' behavior. The researchers recommend running more awareness campaign for passengers for the purpose of educating passengers about the check-in process, baggage restriction, and the importance of arriving early. This can be done through flyers, online information, and announcements. In addition to that, they can also use this opportunity to remind the passengers to pre-book their baggage, check in online, and have their travel documents readily available to shorten the process time. And lastly, for the researchers' fishbone diagram, we have poor customer service. The researchers recommend that the airline should invest more in training programs that emphasize courtesy, patience, and effective communication skills for their staff. In addition to that, airlines should implement some customers' feedback mechanism in order to identify and address issues with unprofessional staff. And that's all for our final presentation of Capstone.